So was there a moment this year for you that was especially difficult to handle?
Yeah, I think like many people, there's been quite a few different moments. But I had my second child in August of this year, which was fantastic. But being pregnant in the pandemic was quite difficult, having hospital appointments alone. And my baby at 2 months old was quite poorly. We ended up in hospital for 2 weeks, and she had meningitis. And that was probably the hardest time for me because I was confined to a room. I couldn't see any friends or family. The reception there was really difficult. The hospital food wasn't the best. And I think I really felt that impact of COVID and the pandemic and that isolation from friends and family. And it was quite a difficult one.
And was there a turning point for you? It's obviously such a really difficult time and dealing with the pandemic plus with the health of your newborn. But was there a turning point for you where things started to seem like you were feeling in more control?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been various points this year that have been absolutely fantastic and others that have been really difficult. I think coming out of hospital when my daughter had improved and was great for me on a sort of personal level was when everything started to feel much better. I got home and I really sort of appreciated just the small things. Having my husband and my other daughter around me, and having the health of my family was just such an important thing and something that perhaps you take for granted day to day. And I really, really appreciated just having home comforts and health and all being well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree on that front. Because we had our son as well who spent a night in hospital. Just pretty much like at the start of the pandemic, just when it was starting to really pick up. So there was all the social distancing was happening, and we thought, but we still didn't quite grasp the seriousness of the whole experience. So when that night happened, it was sort of the turning point for us, because especially when you saw everything that was going on in the hospital as well, that it was quite intense. So
Yeah.
it sort of really hit you hard and realized that it was going to be a bit of a bumpy rest of the way through. But for you as well, I'd imagine that your husband was probably the most important person that they leaned on in the year, or was there some colleagues or some other sort of moments that the year that you had with other people who really steered you through?
I think there's been a few people really. I think I've continued to do my PRCA work this year, even though I've had a baby. And actually that's kind of kept me really sane and focused, and kept me interacting with the outside world and not just in this baby bubble as well. And sort of takes my mind away from being in the midst of a pandemic. We haven't been able to see family very much, which has been really difficult with a young baby, and that support group has been lost. But I've had, my husband has been fantastic. He really is great. And it's quite difficult that early period when we were working from home. We had homeschooling as well, but he's been fantastic. And also I met a group of mums. I joined pregnancy yoga on Zoom, as you do in this year. And we've been out and about on walks. We've been kind of locked down here in Manchester for most of this year, actually, and we're still in tier 3. But so we go on a walk, we get a coffee, we have a chat, and we found that's been a really good sort of social network, and really appreciated the opportunity to do that, even though it's freezing cold.
And how was that experience of making those new relationships at the first point over Zoom, over sort of the online? Was that something that was a little bit odd, or was it actually a lot easier than you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, it was. I started the pregnancy yoga in kind of real life, face to face. I did about 2 weeks, and then obviously we went on to Zoom. And it was quite strange because there was new people coming on each week, but we all had a chat each week, and it became quite cathartic. We all sort of poured out our emotions about how we felt, whether that was being pregnant or the pandemic or anything else in life. And then we did our pregnancy yoga class, and I think we all kind of gelled through that experience. So I'm quite a social person anyway, and I find it easy to sort of chat to people. And it's been really nice to take that away from Zoom and actually now get to meet face to face. So I've got a lot to thank Zoom for in this period.
Yeah.
In a strange way.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that we can say thank you to Zoom for. Beyond that, I'm zoomed out, that's for sure. So for you, I suppose, how would you sum up the year as a whole, from a professional point of view or even a personal, of course, as well?
Yeah, a professional point of view, I think my other main job as well, I actually got made redundant from that, aside from my PRCA work. So that was kind of very strange. But in a way, it made me realise quite a lot about work and what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy, and things that I want to take away in the future. So I've had a lot of time to reflect upon the working world and where I want to go sort of into 2021, which has been really good. And it's been great to have that period, where some people think, gosh, I've lost my job. I've actually sort of taken the positives out of that. Personally, I've obviously just really appreciated the time to have more time with my family, to be a bit more one with nature. I've done a lot of walks, been outside, and actually less time to sort of rush about and dash and be a bit more in the moment, which sounds a little bit cheesy, but just to actually enjoy smaller moments. And like I said, things like taking for granted health and other things I've really sort of appreciated and bottled that up, and I'll take that away with me into future years, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I've felt as well. Obviously, in normal years, I would have spent a lot less time with my son, and being able to have those little moments where you can sit back and stop and really just observe and watch. And again, it can be a little bit sort of a corny sort of thing, but
Yeah.
but for me, I really appreciated that. And there's sort of little moments that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And I think that's just really important to have that. But I suppose also for you going forward into next year, is there anything that you hope that you can take into next year that makes you really optimistic? You sort of touched on a few of those things.
Yeah, I think sort of moving my career path professionally in a slightly different direction, using all my skill sets that I've got in communications that I've always worked in. Um, aside from the PRCA work, and doing some other things that have been at the back of my mind for some time. So I'm really looking forward to that. And again, just having my closeness with family and friends that I haven't really had that time. I'm looking forward to, hopefully we can start to hug again, and we can sit in bars and restaurants, and we can chat, and we can have parties and other things that we've missed. But still continue to do all the things that I've mentioned before, lots of walks, a lot more time to be in the moment, and time for myself and my family as well. So hopefully, vaccine pending, 2021 should be a new year of lots of new adventures and lots more fun.
Yeah, let's hope. And just the final question, is there something that you learned about yourself?
Yeah, I think my ability to overcome hurdles. So I touched on a few things there. I was pregnant, I lost my job. I actually was in hospital, I broke my toe very early on in the pandemic. I couldn't walk, and I love exercising, which was really difficult. And there's been, my daughter's health as well. And actually that sort of fighting spirit, I knew I was a strong person, but actually trying to get over these hurdles and overcome them without having a big meltdown, and being really positive is something that's taught me that I can survive quite a lot of things when they're thrown my way. And also patience as well. I had to do homeschooling, which needed a lot of patience with a 5-year-old, and patience for other things in life, waiting for normal life as we know it to resume. So I think those are sort of things that I've taken away from this year.